How would you explain color to a blind person?
I don't think you can.
This is the question. I came across this question because one of my clients actually asked me this.
Is your client blind?
No.
Oh,
But she was like, she's a podcast listener. Shout out.
Okay, nice.
And she was like, I've got a question for you to break the ice with Sarah. And
okay.
so she hit me
That's so nice.
Yes, she's great.
Oh, hello.
Shout out. I have heard this question before, but I have never come up with a good answer.
I think it's a concept that if
Yeah.
you are born blind,
Right.
I don't think it's possible to understand.
That's kind of where I fell.
Well, and I just reread The Giver.
Yes.
And in The Giver, as the main character is like being trained by
given.
the giver,
Yeah.
as he's receiving.
Yes. Good.
That's what the title of the job is the receiver. But anyway, he gains the perception of color.
Yeah.
And it's like it totally blows his mind,
Yeah.
and it's like a whole new thing. And he first can see like just flashes and glimpses of the color red, and then eventually the whole world gains color. And it's like when he first gets the first flash of color, he's like,
Yeah.
"What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's going on? This is weird. This is not right. Something's wrong with me."
Yeah.
Because it's a concept, and I mean,
I'm with you.
I just don't think it's possible.
That's honestly, I thought about it a little bit. I've had the fortune of thinking about the question. Like I usually throw these at you and you got to go right off the cuff.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it a little bit. I just because initially I was like, okay, well, we have to tie it to something.
Like red is hot, blue
Right.
is cold.
Right.
What is green?
Exactly. It has to be like feelings. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, so when I was talking to my client about it, we were talking about red and she was like, it would have to be like the feeling of anger or intensity. But the other thing is, I think all of us, like people that can see, perceive color differently in terms of like looking at a color and then what that makes you think about or feel. Like for me, red, like I get anger is the general, but red, I love red.
I don't understand people who like red.
See? I love red.
Red makes me uncomfortable.
No, red makes me feel like now's the time. It gives me juice.
No, it's
Yeah.
not for me.
I love red's my favorite color.
I've never understood that about you.
If you look at all the old thumbnails on this channel,
They're all
everything is
red.
like red because I just loved red. But then I realized like some people may not also like red.
I think red is maybe the most divisive color.
100%. Yes. I mean, maybe, yeah.
I also don't like orange.
Well, you just don't like anything in the red family.
No,
you don't
I
like
don't.
pink.
I like some shades of pink, but in general,
like a
I
bright
don't.
pink?
I
Yeah,
don't like
see?
anything bright.
Exactly. But for me, I like that. Like when I'm doing
Yeah.
Photoshop, I'm saturations all the way up, baby. Give me the full, like I don't like pastels.
Yeah.
They're fine. But for me, it's
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
broad in your face, and that's red.
And I don't know if people who have never seen color can really understand that.
Like you can conceptually tell them that. But I just don't think that you could ever get the same, like if there was a device that we could look in the brain and see the same way, like that we perceive something from a sighted person to a non-sighted person, and we told them what red is, I don't think it would ever be the same.
No.
I don't know. I'm sure there's some science behind it, like ocular science, but the eyes are super important,
Yes.
you know, and just the way that we perceive stuff. Like there's this really, you weren't online very much, but there was this video of Logan Paul putting on, so there's these glasses that if you're colorblind, you put them on and it shows you color.
Yeah.
And he
I've seen those.
puts them on and he starts weeping and it's like way over the top.
He's not colorblind.
I don't think so. I don't think anything that dude did was real, but it was like,
But I will say we have one of your film school friends.
yeah.
Boyfriend is colorblind.
Yeah.
And was surprised for his birthday
Yeah.
with those glasses. And we
They work.
saw a video
Yeah.
of him trying them on for the first time. And he was very emotional.
It was
about
that same type of, it wasn't played up for the camera, but I think that was a legitimate experience.
I think so too. I mean, it was like, this whole time this has been here and I never knew.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
And I never knew.
So the next question, do you think it would be worse to know, like say you go blind later in life, so you know color and then you lose it, or to never know?
I think it would be probably to never know.
To never know would be worse?
Well, my uncle's gone blind.
Okay.
And that's been really hard. I mean, for many reasons.
Yeah.
And he's had low vision for a long time progressively.
Right.
But I mean, he really is having
like serious
blindness now.
Yeah.
And it's tough because, you know, he knows that he enjoys watching movies
Right.
and reading books, and it's just not possible anymore. And seeing things. They
Yeah.
live in a really beautiful place, and so to not be able to see those things anymore, I imagine would be very difficult.
That would be worse than never knowing.
I think in a way, probably yes.
I'm with you.
I think I would have to ask somebody who was born blind.
Right.
I mean,
we don't know. We don't have that perspective.
I don't know, but I know how much I enjoy looking at, you know, beautiful paintings and photographs. And I know that I would really miss that if I were to lose it.
Yeah.
I know that that's how I would feel.
Right.
So that's, I guess, the only frame of reference that I have. I don't know what it's like to...
That's a good point.
I imagine hearing people talk about, oh, wow, isn't that a beautiful waterfall? And not being able to ever know what a waterfall looks like would also be difficult, but I don't know.
So, okay. We're taking this logical leap again.
Okay.
Which one, like the classic question, sight or hearing, which one are you losing? You have to lose one.
I would lose hearing.
Me too. It used to be sight for me.
Really?
Yeah, because I just loved music and I loved like the sounds of people's voices. I'm a very audio person. I listen to a lot of stuff. But now, I think this was in like the past couple of years when I started to really like get involved in filmmaking and like realize how much color and like cinematography affected me in film. Like obviously a great song is still very emotional, but for me, I get more emotion out of like a great visual. And I know a lot of people that would be like, oh no, it's I'm keeping my hearing forever, right?
Yeah.
But I think both of us fall on the fact of like sight is.
I think I would be very devastated either way.
Oh yeah.
But I think if you lose your hearing, you can still drive, you can still get around.
Yeah.
A lot of my
That's the thing.
A lot of my hobbies and like things that I enjoy require sight, like crafting and reading.
You could figure those things out, obviously. Like, it's not a death sentence, obviously. There's a bunch of people. Like, there's this guy on Instagram. He's a skateboarder, and he's fully blind, and he's the coolest dude ever.
I've seen him, and that is so cool.
He's awesome. And he talks, like, how he skateboards and how he posts everything on Instagram. So there's obviously ways to do it.
And there's a girl who I've seen on YouTube who was born, I think she was born with low vision, but is now fully blind.
Yeah.
And she's really into clothing and fashion and makeup.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so cool.
It's definitely possible, but I think the adjustment period for me personally would be harder going from sight to non-sight versus losing my hearing.
Yeah, well, your hearing already stinks.
Exactly.
So.
My hearing is bad anyway, but I can still hear, you know, like it's not terrible. But I just like, I think for me, I connect to the world more visually than I do auditorily. Is that a word? Auditorily? Mm-hmm. But it didn't used to be like that.
Yeah.
Like
That's interesting that it's changed for you.
Well, honestly, I think it's the way that I walk now. I used to walk very like down.
I walk very down as
but
well.
now I've tried to like shoulders back up, looking out. And that has really changed. Like I go on walks outside when the pollen is not trying to kill me. I hate this season. But I love to go on walks outside, and I was realizing I was just looking at the concrete. And it's like, look up, man.
We were talking about that on a walk not too long ago.
Yeah, we were.
And I think it's because I've always been notoriously bad at remembering to wear sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
And I have light-colored eyes, so I'm pretty sensitive to bright sunlight.
Yes.
And so just naturally, I've always kind of shifted my eyes down towards the ground.
Right.
I recently got prescription sunglasses.
And the whole world is your oyster.
Maybe I'll start looking around at the world now.
I definitely think that has changed my, like, how I take in the world is just like looking up.
Well, there's a lot of, beauty all around us, even in, the concrete city that we live in.
Oh, definitely.
Even soon we're going to have the azalea bushes in the neighborhood blooming.
Oh, fantastic.
They're really, I don't know if did you notice them last year?
I did, but I was so mad at the price that I had to pay to get there in that I couldn't breathe for a month and a half.
Sure.
Truly, I'm going to go on a vendetta about how much I hate spring, but I'll save it. Maybe next episode. But this season sucks. I hate it.
I knew you were going to talk about that.
I hate it. I hate it.
When you look around, you just, even in your everyday environment, you don't have to go very far to find something.
I honestly
beautiful.
find like a lot of rest is the best way to put it, in looking at natural things, which I got from one of my film school professors. He was our VFX professor, actually. And obviously VFX is very computer centric now, right? So you're always staring at a screen. And he would force us to go outside and look at natural fractal patterns, is what he called it. He's like, it's time to go look at
fractal patterns.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so we would go outside and just stare at a tree. And it was like, so there's something about just looking at something natural that kind of calms your eyes down.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of eye strain when we look at, and I am so online and so computer based.
You are very screen centered.
Everything I do is screen centered,
Yeah.
right? And I'm trying to take Sundays as days where I'm not very screen focused. But looking at those natural fractal patterns, even in a work day where I'm editing a lot, gives me a lot of energy to like finish the edit or like get done with what I'm doing on the screen, like finish programming for people or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think things in nature are both very simple and very complex at the same time.
Yeah, true.
You know, it's a tree's not moving and it's not very stimulating, but there's a lot going on.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of pattern and color and movement and interest and
if you take the time to really dial down your focus into like a leaf,
there's a lot to look at, even in a leaf, which a tree has
we're getting
a million of.
super hippy dippy with this, but I think it's valuable to every now and again look at a tree.
Yeah.
Or a leaf.
Or an
something.
azalea bush during the spring.
And just give it the people's elbow because it caused you to not be able to sleep or breathe.
Well, my mom and I went specifically to Callaway Gardens last April, and they're known for all of their azaleas.
Yeah.
They have like every different variety of azaleas, and we just walked around for like an entire day. We got like 30,000 steps just looking at all of these beautiful plants and different natural, formations and waterfalls and rivers, and it was gorgeous.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. That sounds like the worst thing that it could ever happen.
Well, that's why you weren't invited.
Well, there you go. That's why I wasn't invited.
You weren't invited.
Okay, we started off with a beautiful discussion, and now it's time to move into a little bit of some ferocity.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Are you seeing red?
I'm seeing red. We put out a lot of content on this channel.
Yes.
And I love to do that.
Yeah.
Because I feel that video can introduce concepts to people that may not have a way to hear about these concepts. So I feel like if I continue to put out concepts that have helped me, that have helped my clients, make body composition changes, better their lives, look the way they want to look, that kind of gives me purpose. And I love to do that, and I will probably do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes, as we talked about a couple episodes ago with short form content, context is lost because I'm trying to put out little bite-sized pieces for people to kind of say, oh yeah, let's do this and let's look at this, right? So all this preamble to say, we put out a short a couple days ago in which it was a short about when we were talking a couple episodes ago about the young lady who was trying to lose some weight and had reached a plateau with her calorie deficit. You remember this?
I do.
A couple episodes ago.
I do.
It was a short 40-second clip.
In which the question itself was not included.
Exactly. Because I just don't have the time to put the long question in a 1-minute clip. That's all we've got is 1 minute on YouTube Shorts.
You didn't even put the whole answer in.
Exactly. I put a snippet of like one little piece of advice that we gave.
It was probably a 15-minute segment?
Yeah.
That you took 1 minute out of?
Which I have cut the whole long form segment out and it's coming out on the channel because I want to provide the whole context.
I love that.
But if you don't have the time to watch the whole hour-long podcast, here's the 15 minutes that is really impactful.
Great.
Right?
Yeah, but 1 minute was taken out of that and made into a short that you put on YouTube.
And on that short, a lovely gentleman decided to comment, and I quote, "Stop glorifying obesity." Wow.
Which, if you know the context of that whole question, is like the opposite.
The exact opposite of what we were giving advice for someone who was trying to get extremely lean.
Somebody who was not obese to begin with.
Someone who had started at a moderate body weight that was really pushing to get very, very lean. Right?
And who was eating 1,100 calories a day.
Right. So our advice to them was, hey, maybe you need to bump the calories up, go on maintenance a little bit, give your body a break. Right. I suppose that is glorifying obesity.
Well, I think the piece that you had pulled out was, if you think that losing a certain amount of weight is going to make you happier, it won't.
Right. But even in my wildest dreams did I not think that that was glorifying obesity.
No.
I think that is sound advice. At the end of the day, the way that you look should not make you feel a certain way, positive or negative.
I think everybody's life has value. Every person has value regardless of what they look like. I think what you look like is irrelevant.
Now, I want to be very clear. I do not glorify obesity.
No.
I have dealt with obesity in my family, in my own personal life.
Yeah.
I have felt the negative health effects that are associated with being obese.
Right.
That is a true fact. There are negative health effects associated with obesity.
Right.
That is the truth. Should that make you feel bad because you are obese? No. We're not talking about feelings. You have value as a human being regardless of your weight. But if you want to stick around on this planet for a long time, most likely, if you're carrying excess body fat, that is going to be detrimental to your overall health.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that at least what I hope for every person, and I mean every single person,
right,
is that they can have health and happiness in their lives. And I want
both
every
of those
person
things
to have both of those things.
Right.
And I think that in the context of the question that we were answering on the previous podcast episode was somebody who had a good level of health.
Right.
You know, they weren't overweight. They were making healthy food choices. They were moving their body, being active with exercise. And they were taking that to an extreme at the cost of their happiness.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
They had both. They took one too far, things got out of balance, and they were no longer happy.
Right.
And that was the problem.
Exactly.
The problem was that they were no longer happy because they were so,
super dieted,
and obsessed and run
obsessing
down.
over their food choices, causing excess stress, right?
Right.
So from a perspective of, I coach a lot of physique clients.
Yeah.
And in the sport of bodybuilding, you have to get very, very lean. Unhealthily lean to get on stage, right? But what I try and do with those clients is mitigate as much stress as possible. There is going to be stress, but stress and cortisol actually cause us to hold on to body fat.
Right.
So I'm trying to mitigate that. So in this fine young lady's quest to lose weight, maybe there's a time to mitigate some cortisol and some stress to then come back to dieting
when you're refreshed
and continue to lose that weight.
Sure, if that's what you really want to do.
Right.
But yeah, the way that it was happening in that moment for her was it wasn't working, and that's what she was acknowledging in the question. But yeah, our answer was not glorifying obesity because when you are dealing with obesity, it's you're not healthy and happy.
Right.
Your health is suffering.
Right.
And so we hope that people can find a way to get healthy in a way that works for them.
This is an incredibly complex topic.
So complex.
And it comes back to my railing against short form content because maybe this guy, and I understand the internet is a cesspool, right? Of
and it's
trolls, whatever. I don't care. I don't care about this guy. What I care about is the concept. The concept of someone watching a short 40-second clip and coming to the assumption about your and my personal belief system.
Right.
It is impossible. It is not possible to do. Both of us come to this discussion of health and wellness with our own personal baggage. We have our own ideas. I come from a background of dealing with weight gain and trying to lose it. You come from a background of not being able to gain weight.
Right.
So we both have our own unique perspective.
Right.
Right? I come from a background of having nutrition education. You do not. So we both bring our own personal ideas to the table. You have to give people grace in that discussion.
Yeah. And
so
I think
you as the viewer
responded with a lot of grace to that person.
But I'm saying you as the viewer have to come to the content and give a little bit of grace to say, just because I saw this 40-second clip, I cannot pin down every belief that this person has, right?
Right.
You have to come to everything that you view and read and listen to with an openness, or you are not going to grow. You are going to miss valuable information. Right. Because now this guy, and my idea is this person who has seen this one clip will now throw everything that we've said, that I've said on the channel away And I think we put out some really, really good content.
I think we do too.
And some stuff that can really help people make a change, right? Because I've made the change. You've made the change. I have coached people through making the change. And I'm putting out the content of the stuff that I normally give to my clients.
Right.
Right? So it's just frustrating to have to deal with.
Well, and I think there's also something to be said for the general population's poor understanding of looks equated with health. Oh
man, yeah.
Because you're a big guy.
Yeah, right.
You're a big guy, but I think you're almost in the best shape you've ever been.
In terms of my ability to do the active tasks that I want to do, I have never been better.
Right.
I can lift the weight that I want to lift. I have cardiovascular fitness past where I did. Even when I was skinnier, less body fat, less body weight than I do right now, I still have better cardiovascular fitness. So again, that's another whole nother discussion.
And that might be something that we need to talk, actually dedicate some time to.
I think so.
But I think that's another pitfall of short form content is, people see a short and they see you and they're like, well, this guy can't give me advice.
Right. Yes. Because I'm a bigger dude. I'm a competitive power lifter.
I'm not going to take losing weight diet advice from you. Well, they don't know that you've lost 80 pounds.
Right. That's
you
the other
used
thing.
to be obese and overweight, and now you're actually in really good shape. And I think you could more than likely outlift and probably outrun any of these people who are commenting on your. I mean, I don't know those people, but you can't just take a glance at somebody and know how healthy they are.
Right. And
you can't know that.
I don't want this to sound like I do the things that I'm preaching all the time. Yeah. I come to short form content and make judgments. We do. It's human. It's being human is to make judgments.
We need to call ourselves out on that as well.
I am trying to do a lot better because I am in the space and I'm trying to absorb a lot of, I don't agree with the keto diet. That's one that I just can't get my head around that. Yeah. But I come to all of the content around the keto diet and try to have an open mind because it does work for some people.
It does.
And at the end of the day, my main goal is for people to experience a positive change in their fitness. That's it. That's what I want. So if keto does that for you, good for you, man. I have no issue with that.
If it makes you happy and you are healthy, then I am happy with that.
100%.
And everybody finds that in a different way.
100%. I mean, we could talk about this forever. And I want to bookmark that discussion about looks and health because I think that we should dedicate a whole big portion of an episode to that because that is a big one. And again, when we talk about that, we'll probably get called out for glorifying obesity.
We're going to get so much hate.
But I mean, I'll leave you with this. It's a nuanced topic. Please, when you are engaging in any type of content around health, weight loss, diet, have an open mind. Try to parse through some of the information. Try to pick out some things that may help you. But, that's all we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, we're going to go to the one big fitness question of the day.
Ooh.
Hooray. Okay. So this one is, we talked a little bit about diet. We talked a little bit about training. Today, we're going to talk about accessories because I love to accessorize in the gym.
Earrings, necklaces.
Yeah, exactly.
Rings. Headbands.
We're talking about belts.
We're talking about belts.
Weightlifting belts, to be specific. So the question is, what belt do you use and why? Any not so obvious things one should know before getting a new belt? Currently, I'm using a cheap 2-prong belt that has served me well, but is starting to wear. I know lever belts are very popular, especially on social media, but I've also heard because of how they overlap, some find that they dig too much into your side. I know there's a few tried and true brands that everyone loves, but I'm also not looking to spend over $100 on a belt. Any budget options that are there for people like me? To add, is there really much of a difference between a 10 millimeter belt and a 13 millimeter belt? I believe that I'm probably going to have to take most of this.
I know the heaviest weight that I have in this house where I exercise is a 15-pound kettlebell.
But you do it really well.
I do. I do a great job. I understand the mechanism of using a weight belt.
Okay, what is it?
It's to brace against so that you can do a Valsalva.
Yes, I'm so proud of you because
I taught you what a Valsalva was.
No, you did not.
You told me about it. Like I learned about this new thing. I'm like, the Valsalva.
Well, there you go. Okay, so that was what I was going to talk about first because a lot of people have misconceptions about what a weight belt is.
Yeah.
A weightlifting belt. Some people think that
Do
it
they
is
think
for...
it's like supposed to be like sexy?
No. Hopefully not. Maybe there's some...
Like,
if you,
I'm gonna look so hot in the gym with this belt.
there's definitely somebody who is accessorizing their belt and thinking that. But
yeah.
the main thing that I hear, the main misconception that I hear about a weightlifting belt is that it is for spinal support.
Right?
No. So a lot of people think that if you wear a weightlifting belt, you're going to be able to squat more weight because it's going to support your spine. Not true.
No.
If you think about it, like a 10 millimeter weightlifting belt goes around basically like just your midsection. You'd need a full like rod to support your spine.
Right. It's going perpendicular to your spine.
Exactly. It doesn't do that. It is there, like Sarah said, to brace against. It is there to help as a tactile cue to understand how to properly brace not just the front of your abs, but also your spine, your erector spinae, and your obliques and everything like that.
Sure.
To create intra-abdominal pressure in order to lift more. Right?
Well, and everybody's done a Valsalva when they're like trying to open a stubborn jar.
Yeah, right.
When you like hold your breath, your vocal cords come together, and you brace your core.
Yes.
To try to open it.
Right. Exactly.
Open the jar.
So you do it in your day-to-day life, but
But when you're squatting 400 pounds, you have to do that to an extreme compared with opening a jar of salsa.
Yes, 100%.
And that's where the belt comes into play, is helping you take that,
you don't
normal body response.
You don't need to put on your weightlifting belt to open a can of salsa.
Right. But if you're going to be lifting 400 pounds, you're going to use that same mechanism to a higher degree.
And that is not to say that weightlifting belts are necessary for everybody. In fact, in my personal training, I felt that I was getting a little bit too reliant on my belt.
Because didn't you recently do a session without your belt?
Yes. So I just did a pull session where I was deadlifting and also doing some good mornings, which are very back-focused exercises. And in my program these past couple of weeks, I have done that day beltless on purpose because I was super over-reliant on my belt and I was getting mentally like, oh, I can't do this much weight unless I have my belt on. So I put on a lot of weight, 455 pounds, and I did 3x3 reps and I did all of them.
Impressive.
Thank you. And I'm alive.
But you didn't throw your back out?
Didn't throw my back out. But I think being able to take what I learned from using a belt and then taking the belt away, I was still able to brace properly.
You're using this too.
Exactly. Same mechanisms that I used with the belt.
So at what point did you start using the belt, and when did you feel that you were ready for it?
So I started working out for football, never used the belt because we were using,
you were
plyometrics.
14.
I was 14. I think I started using a belt probably when I got seriously into powerlifting, because I just saw all the powerlifters were using a belt. I was like, I need to do that. Yeah, exactly. I fell victim to all those, like, the strongest person in the world is using this. You need to use it. I was like, yeah, let me use the belt. Anyway, but I was using the belt incorrectly. Because I was over tightening it. I was using it as a stability mechanism. And it wasn't until probably when I started to like get into coaching people that I really started to research like how to use a belt properly. And that's when I started to realize, oh, it needs to be a little bit looser than you think so that you can brace against it, right? Some people do like an overly tight belt. That's fine. I don't really care. You can do what you want to do.
Do what works for you.
Right? Anyway.
Does it need to be really expensive?
No.
Like this guy's asking?
So the lever belt is a mechanism in which you overlap the belt and it locks in place. So instead of having a prong like your normal traditional like dress belt,
like a belt,
right, it laps over, you pull it tight, and it locks in.
Yeah.
Right. You use those because they're easily undone. You don't have to fumble around.
It's like the jars that you get to store flour in from IKEA, like where you.
Yeah. There you go. That's a good real world example. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
And you can pop it off.
But it's sideways instead of up and down on the jar.
You can pop it off immediately after you're done with a set, which can help some people with like if they're really going
like
for max
breath
load.
recovery.
Exactly. Blood pressure, all that
Instead
jazz.
of having to tighten it to get it off like with a normal fashion belt.
So it's not necessary, but it's just a new tool that is a little bit easier for people. Those can run pretty expensive.
Yeah.
My belt was $180, right? But it's high quality leather. Shout out to Pioneer. I love that company. If you're looking for a belt and you're willing to spend a little bit more, that is the spot to go to.
Well, and you're a competitive athlete who works out like 5-6 days a week.
I have gotten so much use out of that belt. I would have paid $250 for it and gotten my money's worth.
I think this reminds me of a principle from the classic TLC fashion show, What Not to Wear with Stacey and Clinton.
Okay, you're going to have to take this.
So they talked a lot about, so they were taking, they would take a lady who had, terrible style, and it was like a week-long makeover process.
Yep.
And like the last 2 days was shopping in New York City for a whole new wardrobe.
Oh, fantastic.
Right? And so you'd get these, like moms who, like to buy stuff for their kids, but they themselves wear, a $5 sweatsuit from like Walmart or something.
Okay.
And they're sending them out into like New York City, like Fifth Avenue boutiques to buy a whole new wardrobe. And these ladies are really struggling with, I can't spend $200 on one dress.
Right.
This is insane.
That would be where I was at.
Right. But then Stacey and Clinton come in and they're like, think about cost per wear.
Right.
Do you love this dress? Is it versatile? Is it something that you're going to be wearing a lot? It's like, well, yeah, I could wear this to work. I could wear it on a date. I could wear it to all of these different places.
Exactly.
And they're like, okay, so if you wear this dress once a week and it's a great quality dress, so it's going to last you 5 years, the cost per wear is like $1.50.
Yes, 100%.
Right? But then if you think about that, it's like, well, this is a $200 dress and I really love it, but I might wear it twice.
Yeah.
That's $100 cost per wear. Right? So
much worse.
Which one is the better buy?
Yeah.
So for you to spend, taking that to this question, for you to spend $180 on a weightlifting belt that you wear 3 times a week and it's going to last you for 5 years.
Right. Probably more.
That's like 50 cents a wear.
I know.
Or 50 cents a use for somebody who's not that into powerlifting, who's just buying it to look cool in the gym and is going to wear it 5 times, but then probably fall off from using it.
Right.
That's a pretty high cost per use.
Not worth.
Yeah. So it's just according to what level a person is at with, what their goals are for working out and what kinds of workouts they're doing, what their volume and their load are.
Exactly. And I think with most things in the gym, in terms of like gym accessories, that is the case. There's a lot of stuff that really does help me personally train. But like pre-workout, for example, I have a very high caffeine tolerance.
Yes.
I also find that the formula of pre-workout that I use gives me a boost in the gym. Does that mean that everybody should be using pre-workout? Absolutely not. In fact, most people don't need it and probably shouldn't be using it. You have to, but the problem is most people are also following a bunch of influencers, and we've gotten to this point with marketing on Instagram specifically where it's like, look at my body, do this to get my body.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. No. Their body's their body and your body is your body.
Yes.
Right? So regardless of what products you're using, even down to what style of training you're doing, because some people are like, what split did you do? Like what routine did you do to get this? It doesn't matter, bro. You could do the same routine as Chris Bumstead, 4-time Olympia champion. You're not going to look like him.
Not going to happen for me.
Right, exactly. Now, that doesn't mean that copying professional bodybuilders doesn't have merit, but in a lot of cases, try it, but be okay with your results being different from their results.
You're probably not going to win the Olympia.
Let's just say it. You're not going to win the Olympia.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if we got somebody.
There's somebody out there who's.
There's one person that wins it out of everybody every year.
In the world,
and as long as Chris is still competing in the classic division.
It's not going to be you and
he's
going to
win it. Yeah. So, sorry. Anyway, like to tie this up with the belt, find a belt that fits in your budget first and foremost, but also fits in your wants and needs. For me, I think that a belt is one of those things that if you spend a little bit more money up front, it's going to be more beneficial for you as you go. The prong belts, the traditional like regular belts, they do break down because you are actively pushing against it, right?
Stretching it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The lever belt will also break down, but it's a little bit more durable. So if you're looking to become a power lifter, I would recommend a lever belt, and I would recommend Pioneer. They're great. It's solid leather. You know, they are great customer service. Like, they're really good. We're not sponsored by them, but they're a really, really solid company.
Yeah. But if you're just a casual athlete who wants to like take their squat to the
go
next
beltless.
level,
try beltless, honestly, and then try like maybe Ghost is a good like lower cost brand.
Okay.
What's another one? Gym Reaper is another like like Gen Pop brand that I think is pretty quality. I've never used any of their stuff, but I see it everywhere.
And it looks nice.
And it looks solid, you know? So maybe try one of those.
Okay.
And then if you graduate up and you need something more, then you can spend a little bit more money.
And you know you're going to use it and it's going to be a good value for you.
Exactly. Also, to finish up the 10 millimeter versus 13 millimeter thing, that indicates the width of like the belt
the height?
across. Yes. Some powerlifting federations do not allow 13 millimeter belts. So that would be my one recommendation. If you're going to compete, make sure that you are within the equipment requirements for that federation. But also it's just basically like, how big is your torso and how much do you want in terms of coverage?
Me using a 13 millimeter belt would never work.
Yeah,
it would like break into my ribs.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think with any gym equipment, none of it is strictly necessary.
Yeah, true. That's the
But
main
a
thing.
lot of it can
A lot of it is
support your
helpful.
performance.
But I think the great thing about the gym is that if you want to use the gym as a way to better yourself, you do not then
You can
have to
just show
buy.
up.
Exactly.
You don't have to buy anything.
You don't have to buy anything. You need the gym membership, obviously, for them to let you in.
Correct.
But that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I always fall into the trap with like marketing. Like I'm not getting marketed like knee sleeves and wrist wraps and weight belts or, you know, special shoes. But I do get like, sometimes I started thinking about, I do work out consistently. Like maybe I could get some really cute gym clothes.
Yeah.
Maybe I could get like some cute matching sets or like this and that. And then I think to myself, you have 5-6 pairs of leggings.
Yep.
They're from Target and Marshalls, but they're leggings. And you work out by yourself in your room at home.
Yeah, I know.
Who are you trying to impress?
I know. That's so funny.
Nobody can see you.
Again, if you think that gym clothes will make you feel better,
and maybe
go for it.
I'm eventually going to get to the point where working at home is no longer challenging enough for me. And at some point I am going to have to bite the bullet and go out in public. And
hopefully
maybe,
I'll have built a home gym by then.
Hopefully. But maybe to encourage myself to take that step, I might need a cute outfit.
There you go.
And that's great. Do I need it? No.
Probably not. Yeah.
But would it be nice? Maybe it would motivate me a little bit in the short term.
Amen. That's a great point because like
for $50, what the heck?
So
you know?
I always I recommend to a lot of my clients like get a uniform.
Yeah.
You know, because mentally it's a good cue for like when I put this uniform on, now is the time for me to work out.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of people say, "Oh, I when I'm going home from the gym or when I'm going home from work, I really don't want to go to the gym because I'm super tired." One of my recommendations is change at work into your uniform. You've already got the clothes on. You're going to go, right? 9 times out of 10, if you've already got the clothes on, you're going to go.
That's a great point.
That doesn't mean that the uniform has to be freaking Lululemon.
Right.
Like for me, my uniform is a black Hanes t-shirt. Yeah. But even putting that on triggers like, now it's time to work in me. You know, even still, someone who loves going to the gym. Yeah. If I put the uniform on, it's like, okay, we're going.
Well, we all have days where we don't want to go.
Yeah, 100%.
This whole week, I haven't wanted to do my workouts.
But you did it.
I did.
Yeah. Even if you're doing the bare minimum.
Right.
All right, so that's belts 101. We talked about belts for like 12 minutes.
Belts and many other topics.
Good Lord. We really love just going way off topic. I think that's what a podcast is all about, man.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
We're going to talk about our relationship advice question.
Okay.
Dude, we did a really heavy one last week.
Yeah.
This one's kind of heavy. I mean, let's assume that this is not real. Because I love doing that because if it's not a real person, then I feel like I can kind of make fun of it a little bit more.
Okay.
You know? Okay. Yeah, you're not, this is a tough one.
Okay.
I 22 female, think my friend, also 22 female, didn't ask me to be her bridesmaid because I'm not skinny. Dude, I'm so sorry. If this is a real thing, my heart goes out to you.
This does happen.
Yo, definitely.
This does happen.
So,
and I think
the body of the question. I have a very close friend who I've grown up with and lived with me for many years. We're still really close. Recently, she got engaged to her boyfriend. I was so happy and excited for her. We always talked about weddings together and how we'd be bridesmaids together. And I'd make jokes about what I'd say in the speech. I actually specifically remember her telling me I'd be a bridesmaid, not maid of honor, because even I didn't want to be it. It seemed really stressful. So once it's time for her to ask her friends, everyone to be bridesmaids, I waited patiently and was really excited on what she had planned. Then I saw on Facebook, she posted asking the bridesmaids pictures, and I was not included. Oh boy. She never asked me. She didn't tell me why. But all the girls posted, and they're all very attractive and skinny. And I don't think I'm ugly, but I am a little overweight. Sad.
That's sad.
I decided to text her and ask her why I wasn't invited. She said, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I thought you wouldn't like your pictures taken because you don't like that. There was also just too many people and I needed to cut the people down to be bridesmaids. But trust me, you will be front and center." I guess in the seats. Okay. I have said that I don't like getting my picture taken, but I meant that more of kind of like a joke and kind of just me being in the photo. Like group pictures aren't a big problem for me. I don't know. I could be overthinking it, but we've been best friends for damn near our whole lives. And it feels weird that she would ask some girls that she barely even knows and not me. But all the girls are very attractive. It just doesn't seem like a coincidence. Any advice would be wonderful. Thanks. By the way, English isn't my first language, so sorry if something's wrong. That was actually really good.
Could have fooled me.
Okay, let's have the discussion.
Yeah.
Weddings are hard.
Weddings are really hard. And I think a lot of people do get caught up in the like perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Could be
The
featured
Instagram
in Southern
wedding. Yeah.
Living.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
That's a real thing.
Wedding. I mean, it is a real thing.
Yep.
So her concern could be valid, especially if they are as close as they say.
Yeah.
It could be that the bride doesn't feel that they're as close as they used to be. I mean, people grow apart.
That's the other thing is like, it could be, yes, all physical. And if it is, that really sucks.
That really sucks.
But it could also be, I mean, people grow apart. Like,
right.
It could just be that she didn't feel as connected to you as she did the other people.
Well, because they're 22, so
Right.
they've just finished college.
Right. Most
so maybe
likely.
they went to different, and like maybe these are like her super close sorority sisters, or like people
Right.
who she's gotten to know really well over the college years.
And
that
you-
this other person doesn't know that they're close.
I feel like
I have no idea.
I feel like between the ages of like 18 and 23,
It's a
you change
huge
like every
shift.
week.
Yeah.
You know, like your
Yeah.
personality is just like blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
so you may this week or when it was time to pick the bridesmaids, you may not feel as connected, you know? And what really sucks is the other thing is like we were very fortunate to be able to fit everybody that we wanted to fit into our bridal parties.
We each had like 6 or 7.
Yeah. And
people,
that
which
feels
is a lot.
That's a lot.
And it is very expensive. Like
Right.
like was mentioned. I
Right.
mean, it might have been a budget thing.
It could have been a budget thing. It could have been space on the groom side or the spouse's side. Like the other person only has 2 close people that they want. So it would look weird if we had 7 people on my side and 2 people on it. There's so much random garbage that goes into a wedding.
That
like
we just don't know.
my advice is try not to overthink it.
Try not to take it personally.
Some of the best advice that I was given when I was really young was never apply malice to a statement that could have been made in ignorance. Does that make sense? So like when somebody says something to you, because
Well, it's like assuming positive regard.
right, exactly. Always apply good faith to the statement that's being
Yeah.
made to you. Because my mom is very discerning in her in her conversations with people. She reads people well. I guess is a good way to put it. And I have adopted some of that as well. Usually I can feel if somebody's off or whatever, but that hurts me more than it hurts the other person. Because a lot of the times I can put malice on a statement that they just made off the cuff and like it
And it's
wasn't
like
anything.
really not that big of a deal.
Exactly. Even if it was made in malice, it still helps for you to just assume that it was made in good faith, that this decision was like, okay, it's fine. They didn't have the budget for it or they didn't have the people for it. I think that is the better way to go about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It sucks, even
Well,
if it was.
it's like, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you are right. Maybe that is why you're not a bridesmaid.
Right.
But who does that hurt?
You.
Thinking that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The person who was not included.
Right.
But also wish them well with their wedding, but maybe it's time to distance yourself from that person.
Yeah, maybe
as well.
you have grown apart.
And this is a good like indicator of like, okay, we don't seem to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for me to move on.
Like assume that that's not why.
Right.
Maybe, give another try to the friendship, try and hang out after the wedding.
Right.
And if it's just things feel off, maybe you've both changed. And that's not a bad thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just part of life. People come and go in our lives.
Yeah, that's true. People are here and then they're not. That's life sometimes. And if this is a relationship that you really felt connected to, then
That
maybe
can
I
be
would
really
put,
hard.
but I would put a little effort in after this.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, don't get to the bottom of it. Like, honestly, the best thing that I would do here is just chalk this one up for a mistake was made and then try and move on.
There could be a lot of reasons for it.
Yeah.
I don't want to assume what the reason was if I can help it.
But as a 22-year-old, dude, I know that this person is just spinning their wheels.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this is because I looked this way or I didn't look that way or whatever. It's just, life is too short to really spin your wheels on this. Give yourself some time, think about it, digest it a little bit.
Yeah.
But honestly, take it as if it was out of their control.
And I think there are a lot of special ways to be involved in a friend's wedding that don't necessarily include being part of the wedding party. Like we had several close friends who, we had large wedding parties, but I think we each would have loved to have like 20 people.
Yes, exactly.
And so we did our best to find ways to include a larger span of people into like different special roles or special responsibilities or special pictures or just different little things.
Dude, weddings suck.
Weddings are really hard. They're
so hard.
There's a lot of big decisions.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you don't give littler decisions as much thought as you might want to.
Truth.
And then that plays out where the person who's, involved in that decision or receiving that decision, they might not understand, your reasoning.
I don't
know. It's a hard thing.
Planning a wedding is very much like being a parent in that you don't really realize how hard it is until you do it. Mm-hmm. Like obviously completely different. You're raising a child for 18 years, you're planning a wedding for like 6 months, but it's still one of those things. People who haven't
planned a wedding don't really understand.
From the outside looking in, it's like, oh, they're just planning a wedding. But like, I didn't do anything planning our wedding and I was still a ball of stress, right? Like I can't imagine.
You didn't do anything.
Dude, I didn't do anything because I didn't want to. I don't care.
And that's okay.
I wanted you to have your day. That's totally fine.
But we have a couple of friends who got engaged recently. Yeah. And I'm one of the only people in our friend group who's married. Mm-hmm. We don't have a lot of married friends.
That's true.
But so a couple friends just got engaged, and so we were kind of talking about when I was planning my wedding, different things, and I could just kind of like see eyes getting a little bit bigger of, oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah, there's just so many like small things that
Oh my God. And it can get a little overwhelming because when you haven't done it, you just don't realize what you're getting into.
So what I'll say also is like,
wonderful.
If you're in a situation where something like this happens to you and you feel slighted, just know that they're doing the best they can.
They're doing the best.
They're trying. It's hard, man. And we put so much like cultural significance on a wedding. Mm-hmm. That like it can feel like a really, really fork in the road decision of a friendship, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
like we said, it's just one decision. Try and move on from it, and if you can't, maybe it is that you have just drifted apart. Mm-hmm. And if the worst case scenario is taking place, and she said she's fat, I don't want her in my wedding, it's time to distance yourself from that person.
Yeah. Find different
friends. It's a blessing in disguise. Find different friends.
Yeah.
Find people that like you for your personality. Because that's going to last.
Because like we were saying, the way that you look doesn't have an impact on who you are and what value you have.
Right.
So, and if she doesn't see that, then
it's time to move on, baby.
Yeah, with people who value you and make you happy.
That's it's not as heavy as the previous week's question, but still some seriousness in there. I can
see how someone would be really hurt by that.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. That's great work. You got anything else?
I don't think so.
How's your training going? Well, you said you had a hard time.
This week. Well, and we were out of town at the beginning of the week, so I didn't get all 4 sessions in. I think I only did 2, to be honest. You did a really good
job with what I call time card sessions. So with my clients, when they are really not feeling it, I believe in the power of habits, and I believe in continuing a habit even when you don't want to do it. That's where the discipline comes in.
Yeah.
So I call them just punch your time card. Yeah. Just show up, even if it's for 15 minutes and you just do a couple of the exercises and then you get out of there, the habit is still there.
Yeah.
And in your brain, you can say, okay, I did it. You still get the dopamine, you get the reward. And then you move on to the next day.
And I've still been getting my steps every day. But yeah, since we were gone all weekend and like a little bit into the week, didn't get to go to the grocery store. So my lunch was like a peanut butter sandwich and a protein shake.
But sometimes this is what...
It's okay.
Exactly.
But it's my, the quality of my, pre-workout meal was not really there.
And you survived?
We've been under
still
stress.
Sitting here?
Yeah, so I didn't feel like working out. But it's okay.
It is okay.
And life goes on, and I did the best that I could do.
Most people on this earth are not going to be the level of athlete that requires that amount of precision in their day-to-day life.
Right.
I love to think of myself like that, and I love to be very regimented, but I have to allow myself to say, you know what? I'm a casual power lifter. I just do this for fun. Maybe I'll get to a high level, maybe not. But sometimes I'm going to miss sessions. Sometimes my pre-workout meal is not going to be great.
Sometimes things happen in your life where you need to be somewhere else for a few days.
Exactly.
That's fine.
That's totally fine. Continue to work on the discipline of showing up, but it doesn't have to be perfect every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'd say my training was about that same way too. You know, it was travel, it was stress.
Yeah.
It was a stressful situation. It was everything.
And you
right?
come back from that and you're not stoked to go to the gym.
Exactly. But we're still there.
Yeah.
And we're still working hard.
Yeah.
And we hope you are still there and still working hard. We're going to call it there. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah.
It's always a lot of fun to record these episodes. We hope you enjoy watching them. We're going to continue to glorify obesity for the rest of this podcast.
Yeah.
That's just it's the number one podcast of glorification of obesity.
Yeah, that's our goal.
Put that in the under title.
We want everybody to be unhealthy and
Obese,
sad.
dude. That's it.
Not happy and healthy.
Exactly.
I kind of stole that from Dr. Mike. That's what he always says, I think.
Oh, well, there you go.
But it's a great
a
sentiment.
great saying.
And
Happy and
Dr.
healthy.
Mike's a great guy.
There you go.
So
He probably glorifies obesity too. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Like and subscribe to the podcast. They come out every Monday. We're still working on figuring out how to get the audio only version going, but
we'll get there.
sooner or later, I'll figure that out. I got a lot of stuff going on. Appreciate you guys watching as always. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.